Ladies and gentlemen, there is so much coming out about this federal money, the welfare money. And, Brett here had a podcast that he was doing. Well, that's on hiatus. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. And this should be getting a lot of shine in the media, and it's not. I bet you if this was a black governor and a black athlete, it would be plastered everywhere. And they would be demanding these men go to jail for using welfare funds. But you know what? This is revealing, y'all. These are the people that are always trying to look for a handout. These are the people that don't work for anything, but will sit in your face telling you they work for everything they got. That's impossible. You did that on stolen land. So anything you've done on stolen land is unearned. So let's get into this story, ladies and gentlemen. So there are text messages that show Brett was seeking welfare money for a football facility. And the only one accommodating money for that volleyball stadium is Phil Bryant. Now, keep in mind, this is a relative of Carolyn Bryant. So let's get into this story. And another point I want to make, the only reason why they're going into this welfare money, because they, in their minds, believe most of the welfare recipients are black, but they're not. Most welfare recipients are and always have been white. So, they think, we'll just take this money, screw them N words, we'll just take the money and do whatever we want. And that's what this is at the end of the day. You know, these men should be in jail. They should all be in jail. But because of who they are, Phil Bryan being a former governor and Brett Favre being a former football player, they're going to try to do everything they can so that there are no consequences for these men. That's how these folks operate. If it's someone that looks like them, especially someone of status, then they'll be trying to look for loopholes or refuse to enforce the law. Just notice this. But any little teensy weensy thing black men, women, and children do, they want to throw the entire book. And if they got a catalog to throw, they would throw that too. But for these men, you notice as long as the story has been out, nobody is talking about jail time because that's not what they're going to do. Because of who they are, even if it's wrong, they're not going to do anything. That's a clear indicator. Another clear indicator is the fact that many of these news outlets, quote unquote mainstream news, they're not touching this story. And even the sports channels that are out here, they're not going after them like they go after black athletes. Oh, it's a world of difference. If you just go out there and look, it's a world of difference. So after Mississippi spent millions of dollars in welfare money on Brett Favre's pet project, a university volleyball arena, the retired NFL quarterback tried 2 years later to get additional cash from the state's welfare agency for another sports facility. He was trying to do a football facility. New court documents show the governor at the time Republican Phil Bryan text 2019 with Favre. So him and so Brett was just sitting there just handing out all kinds of welfare money on these projects. There's another story out. I think it was a WWE wrestler. He was also trying to, do the same thing with him. These people are a trip. So this was 2019, and Favre, who wanted to build an indoor practice facility for the University of Southern Mississippi football team, Brian told him federal money for children and low income adults is tightly controlled and improper use could result in the violation of federal law. But obviously, they weren't worried about a federal law that much if he got that volleyball um, facility built, right? He got a volleyball arena built. So they weren't worried about no law. Text messages between Brian and Favre are in court documents filed Friday by Bryan's lawyer, which seek to show the governor was willing to help Favre raise private money for the volleyball facility starting in 2017 and was unaware for more than 2 years that welfare money was going to the project. You know what? I don't believe Phil Bryan. I don't believe Phil Bryan. If he wanted to build a volleyball arena, why even talk federal funding, especially from welfare money? Oh, I didn't know what he was going to use the money for. I don't think that should be a way out for Phil Bryan, in his part in this whole thing. And I bet you it does show what he wanted that money for in the text messages. Mm, mm, mm. So Mississippi's largest ever public corruption case has ensnared several people, including a pro wrestler. Yeah, that's the one I heard about, whose drug rehabilitation was funded with welfare money. Wow. Y'all sent a WWE wrestler to drug rehab and you used welfare money? Again, look who's getting the handouts, y'all. Okay. When these folks always want to come to you talking about they work hard for everything, just always when these corruption cases come up, look who's getting the money. Okay. It's none of us. No, it's them always looking for a handout. Okay. Wow. Y'all sent a WWE wrestler to rehab with welfare money. Mm, mm, mm. Wow. The state has filed a civil lawsuit against Favre and others to recover more than $20 million in misspent. No, they stole that money. That's stolen money. That's stolen money. And Phil Bryan was also a participant in helping them steal that money. That's stolen money, misspent money. Get out of here. Always trying to play with the words. So, 20 million in misspent welfare money stolen intended to help needy people in one of the country's poorest states. Brian and Favre are not facing criminal charges. Y'all hear that? How many people in our community could steal $20 million and not be brought up on charges? I'm just saying. Okay. Brian is not among those named in the state civil suit. That's because he's a former governor. So, they're going to do whatever they can to shield him from the law, which that should not be the case. In fact, he should be the first one on there because he was a governor and he knew the law. A former director of Mississippi Department of Human Services, John Davis, pled guilty Thursday to federal and state felony charges in a conspiracy to misspend, in a conspiracy, to steal welfare money. Davis was appointed by Bryant in February 2016 and fired him by July 2019. Davis has agreed to testify against others. What happened when they get around money that's not theirs? But you know what, y'all? I believe these sort of things have happened everywhere. It's just that Brett and Brian and all the people involved, Davis, they were just so reckless they got busted. But I do not believe this is the only case where welfare money has been stolen out of the federal funding and used for things that they want. I don't believe that at all. I definitely believe this has happened in other states. Attorneys for a nonprofit organization being sued, Mississippi Community Education Center, sent a subpoena to Bryan in late July, seeking communication between the former governor and any other persons about the volleyball arena. Nonprofit was run by Nancy New and her son Zachary New, who in April pled guilty to state charges of misusing welfare funds. Yeah, it's more stolen money. Look, y'all, I want y'all to pay attention. Look who's getting the handouts. Look who's getting the handouts, because that's all this is. These are people that are getting handouts. Look who's getting the handouts. They also agreed to testify against others. Yeah, when you get busted, right? But as long as you don't get busted, you don't mind those handouts. You'll take all that you can get. In the court filing Friday, Bryan objected to producing documents unless it was under a protective order to prevent public release of the contents. In other words, you don't want people to see how deeply involved you are in this whole thing, Phil Bryan. That's what this is. You look like you come from a family of criminals. Carolyn is also one of your relatives. You come from a family of criminals. Roy Bryan, okay? Oh yeah, y'all are a family of criminals. This motion was brought in bad faith and solely to annoy, embarrass, and oppress Governor Bryan because he refused to turn a blind eye to the crimes perpetuated by New and Davis. Bryan's attorney wrote, "Well, your attorneys are full of crap." And I'm starting to see these attorneys are just there to get criminals, real criminals like these folks, out of everything. Favre's request for money from the Mississippi Department of Human Services to fund the football facility went nowhere. Yeah, but he still attempted to do this. He attempted to do it just like he did it when he got that volleyball stadium built. He still did it. And he made an attempt to have another facility built. Favre made the request in July 28th, 2019, as he was unsuccessful trying to recruit the son of another retired NFL player, Deion Sanders, to the University of Hattiesburg. Yeah, well, you saw when he got Deion Sanders involved, it went nowhere, right? Mhm. Favre played football at the University of Southern Mississippi before going to the NFL in 1991. Bryant and New are also alumni, and Favre wrote to Bryan that having an indoor practice facility would give the football program instant credibility. Mm, mm, mm. Didn't they say Favre earned, allegedly earned, earned $100 million? Why is he looking for all this funding? Favre's daughter started playing volleyball. Okay, there you go. At the university in 2017, the new court paper said Bryan first learned Favre was trying to raise money for the volleyball arena on April 20th, 2017. Okay, so now you know why this volleyball stadium got built, because his daughter was playing volleyball. When Favre's text message, the governor said to his wife, Dina, we're building the facility. I need your influence somehow to get donations or scholarships. Favre text Brian, anxiously Southern. Um, I'm sorry, obviously Southern has no money, so I'm hustling to get it raised. This is what Favre texts to, at the time, Governor Bryan, Phil Bryan. The document said Bryan replied a few hours later, of course, I am all in on the volleyball facility. One thing I know how to do is raise money. So in July 2017, Favre texts Bryan about the volleyball facility again, asking if we can find a contractor that would say, hey, rather than give you the money, I'll build it for free. Look who's looking for the handout, y'all. Oh, let's find a contractor that'll build this for free. Build it for free. Maybe you know someone. Bryan replied he was all over it. But Phil Bryan wants you to believe he's innocent in this whole thing. Trust me, as a former governor, he's got all kinds of immunity. So, they're not going to do the right thing. These people don't believe in doing the right thing when it's their own people. They always just want to go above and beyond when it's one of us. So it's important to note that in these early text messages, Favre never mentioned the use of public funds, much less the use of TANF funds for the construction of the facility. Bryan attorneys wrote Friday. At this time, the discussions between Favre and Governor Bryan were focused on private donations and corporate sponsorships. In July 2017, court records show Davis and Nancy New met about using welfare money to fund the volleyball arena, with Davis committing $4 million. New's nonprofit later paid Favre $1.1 million for speaking engagements to help him pay for the arena. So they took all of this money out of the welfare funding. They're using the welfare funding like their own personal bank account. That's what they're doing. You know, they get in these high positions and then try to uh, use all these reasons for why they should access this money. Well, now you know why they want to be in these positions. Favre never made the speeches and later repaid the money, although he has not repaid $228,000 in interest. Bryan's attorney wrote that the governor first learned the human services was involved in the funding for the volleyball arena and text messages he received from Favre on July 16th, 2019. I want you to know how much I love Nancy New and John Davis, Favre. What they have done for me and Southern Mississippi is amazing. Favre wrote, there were plans to do workshops and youth clinics at the volleyball facility with a program run by Nancy New. So not only did they steal, I'm going to go back to the word steal the funding to build the facility, they're now trying to profit and earn all kinds of money by doing workshops and programs to generate even more income in this facility that really shouldn't exist, not the way that they had it built. Mm, mm, mm. And and also I paid for 3/4 of the volleyball facility, and the rest was a joint project with her and John, which saved me $1.8 million. Favre texts Brian. So Brian knew about this. Come on, y'all. He's trying to say he didn't know about this. Look at all these text messages. He had to know. He had to know. I was informed today that she may not be able to fund her part. And I and we need your help badly. And this is what he wrote to Governor Phil Bryan. And sorry to even bring this up. Bryan's attorney wrote that Favre began a campaign to aggressively lobby the governor to help him cover the debt on the USM Volleyball Center. They also wrote Favre had not paid for 3/4 of the construction costs, and Human Services committed more than $1.8 million to the project. According to Friday's court documents, Bryan and Favre met September 4th, 2019, with the new Department of Human Services Director, retired FBI agent Christopher Freeze. And Favre's texts Bryan after the meeting, we obviously need your help big time, and time is working against us. Favre mentioned the volleyball facility could be named for Bryan, who was in his final months as governor. So they were still going back and forth even when this man was in the process of leaving office. Wow. Brian responded, "We are going to get there. This was a great meeting, but we have to follow the law. I am too old for federal prison." So he knew it was wrong. Why even say that if you didn't know it was wrong? He added with a smile emoji with sunglasses. So Phil knew what was going on, y'all. And he knew it, he could be looking at federal prison. You wouldn't say that if you were unaware. Well, these people ain't no damn good. They ain't no damn good. And they sit in these big positions stealing all kinds of money. Y'all remember Enron and all those CEOs that were getting caught stealing millions? And one of them had a $2 million birthday party for his wife. I mean, these guys get up there. That's why they want them big fancy positions where they have access to the company's bank account because they just be robbing it left and right. So, y'all, please tell me what you think with this latest information. These people are nothing but thieves. These folks are just looking for handouts. They're looking for freebies all the time and not working hard for a damn thing. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.